Good morning, C-Home students. I hope you had a chance to rest and relax with your family and friends over the past few days. Last week was extremely difficult for all of us and reminds us of how precious our loved ones are to us. When events such as these occur, our experts in trauma and recovery tell us that as soon as possible, it is essential to return to our routines. Each of us processes differently, however. So please be sure you work with your family on your individual needs. Also, we have counselors here at school who are always ready to have you come down to the office for some discussion and to talk through any problems that you might be facing. All the adults here at C-Home care about you and are willing to find help for you. For high school students, the most common routine is a school day, surrounded and supported by caring adults. Over the past few days, I've spoken to many students and teachers and parents regarding their concerns, and I've heard many suggestions on how to improve our safety and security. On Friday, your teachers, counselors, and other staff met to review safety procedures and reacquaint ourselves with ALICE protocols. It is important now that we do the same with you. While we have had drills, even last term, the drill planned to talk you through the process, or they were drills that did not need to have students actively involved. This event has reminded us that we do not have the luxury of time. Being as prepared as possible is simply a necessity in our contemporary times. To that end, I am now turning the presentation over to Mrs. Spryzak and to Mr. Wicker, who will review the general parameters of ALICE, and then we'll talk to you about the plan to strengthen our readiness. I ask that you pay close attention, and I will return with closing comments when they are finished.
Good morning, C-Home. I'm going to go through the ALICE protocol and speak in specific terms about what each part of the acronym stands for and what your response can be in an active situation. So give me a moment to share my screen. The first part is, what is ALICE? ALICE training was developed in response to events which involved a violent critical incident, such as an active shooter situation. The response was created to minimize the harm to those involved. Again, ALICE training was developed in response to events which involved a critical violent incident, such as an active shooter situation, and the response was created to minimize harm to those involved. A violent critical incident is any event at any location where a person or persons attempts to harm innocent people by any means necessary, regardless of motivation. The goal of ALICE training is to provide you with information and strategies about how to respond before a VCI or other harmful event. The ultimate goal is to help you to be prepared. ALICE training is designed to help you assess your situation and select the best response. Understand that no one response will fit all situations. However, you must know your options so that you can act quickly. What does ALICE mean? So ALICE is an acronym that stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate. Although ALICE is presented as an acronym, you may not need to follow the steps in the order in which it appears, nor may you need to follow all of the steps. Your response in a situation will be based solely on what are the best options for you to act and to maintain your safety. The first part of ALICE is alert. That is to be alerted of danger in your area. The sooner you know you are in danger, you can do something to protect yourself. There are three ways in which you could be alerted. You may be alerted by your senses in that you see people running or you hear loud banging. You might be alerted by your environment. You may see someone who's unfamiliar or see someone who's unfamiliar with a weapon. Or you may be alerted by technology. You may receive a text message. You may hear an announcement over the PA system. So keep those in mind as the three ways that you may become aware that there is a danger in your area. If you are alerted to danger, please make sure that you recognize that there is danger. Don't question it and say, well, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's not that. Please be aware so that you can act quickly. Then you have the option to choose to evacuate, to lock down, or to counter. And I will go into detail on those 3 items later on. Pay attention because you need time to evacuate and you need time to go into lockdown. And the faster you're able to respond to the alert, the better. Also, you must act quickly because your window of time to participate in any one of these will close quickly. Lockdown is available to you as a strategy if you are in an enclosed class area, such as a classroom. The idea of lockdown is to put a layer between yourself and an intruder or other dangerous situation, which will allow law enforcement time to arrive. Enhanced lockdown is a little bit more than going into a location and closing your door. It's locking the doors, it's creating a barricade, and it's spreading out within that area so that you are not lumped together or close in contact with others so that you can make an informed response. So in a lockdown, you're going to lock the door, you're going to use furniture, desks, bookshelves, whatever you can to block that entrance to that area, and then go to the 4 corners of the room, go to the middle, go to the back, spread out so that you're not all clumped together in case an intruder enters. How to barricade a door will depend on how that door swings. If it swings outward, you may need to use a rope or belt or some other kind of string to hold that knob to keep it from turning. If your door swings inward, it is easy to push furniture in front of it so that you can block access. While you're in a lockdown, you need to constantly survey the situation because once you're in a lockdown, you may have the opportunity to evacuate from that location, or if an intruder is close, you may have to counter. The measures that you take in lockdown are meant to slow down the active shooter and to save lives. Locked doors and barricades block access from someone who is trying to inflict harm, so a lockdown can save lives. The next part of ALICE is inform. And that is the ongoing process of communication where you are giving or receiving information about an intruder. The information that's given will allow people to make the best decision about where to go or move or to remain during an active shooter situation. As a student, you're more likely to be receiving information than to giving information. However, if you have an opportunity to give information during an active shooter situation, make sure you use plain language that gives very clear, direct details. If you are giving specific information about an intruder, speak very specifically. A male intruder with a gray sweatshirt, black shorts, and sunglasses is in the cafeteria. He has a weapon. He is heading towards the band room. Relaying this information to people will allow them to make the best decision about what to do. Those who are farthest away from the cafeteria may use this information and decide to evacuate. Those who are closer to the cafeteria may need to assess their surroundings and decide to use that information to go into lockdown. Another part of the informed process of ALICE is if you are in a position to give information, repeat it so that it can be heard. There may be loud noises, and through the excitement of the situation, people may not process the information the first time it's given. So if you can, repeat information after it's given. Also, give information because there may need to be a change in strategy. New information may necessitate a shift from a lockdown to evacuate, or vice versa. If you have evacuated or you are trying to evacuate, you may need to find the nearest enclosed location to now move into lockdown. The counterpart of ALICE is the goal of that is to disrupt or distract the intruder to provide time to act or to intervene to control the intruder until law enforcement arrives. Distraction techniques are intended to make the intruder flinch or move to protect themselves, which is meant to interrupt their thought process, which in turn will allow you time to control the intruder or to evacuate yourself. Counter techniques may be considered and when several people can act together, you should not counter against someone alone. You should generally counter with other people to help out. And countering is a personal choice. You may decide not to use it because it involves close contact and very violent measures at some time. So please consider carefully what you would do if you were involved in a situation where you need to counter. In processing that information about your surroundings where you could use counter, you have objects at hand that could be used against an intruder. You may throw a stapler. You may throw books. Most students carry water bottles that can be thrown at an intruder to create a distraction, to cause them to flinch, to knock away a weapon, or some such activity as that. Counter with the goal of gaining control or taking down an intruder is the last resort. You should always seek options that put your personal safety at the highest priority. If you are in fact countering and trying to gain control of intruder, please note that you need to use several people so that you can work together with the goal of controlling the intruder and holding them until law enforcement arrives. Evacuate is the last part of the acronym of ALICE, and evacuate is the best strategy if it's safe to do so. The goal of evacuate is to put distance between you and an intruder, as those who are closest to a situation are those who are most in danger. If you are not near the danger, take advantage of this fact and put more distance between you and the area of concern. If your plan is to in fact evacuate, you need to consider the following as you assess your situation. Are there multiple exits near you? Does your classroom connect to another classroom or office that might provide another way to leave? What will you do if the usual exit is blocked? Are there windows that you can safely exit through to get to safety? Once you have evacuated, here are other things to consider. After you have left, call 911. Make sure you are safe before placing that call. If you need to break objects to aid in your escape, go ahead and do so. Do not use elevators or escalators. Elevators are confined spaces that may put you into the path of danger, and escalators are wide open and provide no coverage from harm. Leave your belongings behind if you choose to evacuate. You will lose valuable time by trying to collect your personal items. And practice how to evaluate. We're going to learn about that a little bit later. Mr. Wicker has some information about some upcoming dates where we will be able to practice this. There are non-traditional evacuations because you may need to escape from a window. So make sure you survey the area below to ensure that if you have to exit through a window, you can land unharmed. After an evacuation, if you encounter law enforcement, please make sure you approach them with your hands in the air, raised away from your pockets so they can know that you are not in possession of a weapon. Also, if you encounter law enforcement, respond to their questions if you have information about what an intruder looks like, where an intruder is located, or any information like that. And please follow the directions of known first responders. They are there to help you. The rally point and reunification point. These are two very separate things, but they also will help keep you safe. The rally point of an evacuation is any point that's away from the situation where you can gather out of harm's way. You and several classmates may end up in someone's backyard. You may end up at the golf course nearby. It's any of the area around Seaholm where you can gather safely away from the point of danger. The reunification point is slightly different. The reunification point is where you will meet up with law enforcement and other personnel who will count the number of people who were there, who will assess the situation, treat injuries, and reunite you with family members. The reunification point for Seaholm is Birmingham First United Methodist Church, which is located at 1589 West Maple Road, which is basically Maple Road and Pleasant Street. Assessing is key to ALICE. Throughout ALICE, and just remember that the acronym is ALERT, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate. But you need to assess to figure out which of those is the best to use in your situation. You may receive an alert and immediately go into lockdown, and you may remain in lockdown for the duration of the incident. You may receive an alert, but after receiving that alert, you have an opportunity to inform a teacher or administrator, and then you can evacuate from the situation. You will not progress through all of the steps of Alice. There's not, I'm going to do A, now I've got to do L, now I've got to do I. The steps that you use are based on the situation in which you find yourself at the time of a violent critical incident. The goal of Alice, again, is to know what strategies to use based on the information that you have regarding the situation. Think about your surroundings and plan ahead of time before an incident occurs. Know where to go if an incident takes place and how to act in order to stay safe. Knowledge is power. The goal of preparation is to not instill fear, but foster confidence in yourself to be able to act in an informed way to maintain your own safety. Thanks very much. And with that, I turn it over to Mr. Wicker.
Thank you, Ms. Pryzak.
Give me a second to unshare my screen here. There we go.
Well, thank you very much. As you guys heard from both Mrs. Hall and Ms. Pryzak, CHOME has had an emphasis on ALICE training until we ran into the global pandemic, and then we switched from having these different situations going forward. But now we are returning to ALICE as an emphasis throughout the school year. We've had one ALICE drill today, this year already, but it was a perimeter lockdown that had you guys continuing to learn, but also had us securing the building. We will now have additional practices and drills that will be a little more intense, involving different things. They might be a little more scary, but we know that these protocols saved lives in many places, including Oxford. We will ease into this with 2 drills before break. We will have a drill on December 9th, and we'll have a drill on December 15th. Again, we will ease into a little bit more than just lockdown, but those details will definitely be forthcoming. We plan to have each teacher explain ALICE and barricading and evacuating procedures throughout this upcoming week. Today, Monday, first period, you'll talk with your teacher about how you might evacuate or barricade. Tuesday, second period. Wednesday, third period. Thursday, fourth period. And Friday, fifth period. We don't want to do this all in one day and overwhelm us and think this is all that we're focusing on, but we don't want any student to not have an idea of exactly what they're going to do in any particular hour or classroom that they're in. We also are going to continue to have teachers, students, and administrators have discussions and answer questions that you as students may have about the ALICE protocol or what we will do here at CHOME. We'll have an opportunity for students to sign up and speak with Detective Simpson, our school resource officer, as well as administrators. Also, as Ms. Hall said, counselors are always available if you need to speak with someone. There will be a sign up genius going through your bps-schools.com email if you'd like to speak with the police officer, and you can write any of us an email if you would like to talk to us or have any specific questions. Now for some final comments, I turn it over to Ms. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Wicker and Mrs. Pryzak, for that information. You've heard me say multiple times that we all need to think with reflection, act with compassion, and perform with honor. These goals are actually even more important in the face of this kind of threat. Think with reflection. If you see something that your gut tells you is a threat, use your critical thinking skills to assess the potential and alert an adult. Share that information. You do not want to be in the position that you said nothing and then the threat turns out to be real, but you said nothing to an adult who could have intervened. Imagine how you would feel. Additionally, think about the nature of social media threats you may have seen over the last 3 days. Some of them are ridiculous to an individual who is thinking carefully, but we don't always think clearly when we're afraid. So you really need to center yourself and think. But if you are worried, talk to your parents. They are your first contact. Talk to them about what you are seeing. Talk to a counselor. or talk to a teacher or administrator in the building. Talk to friends, take a look at this, and then go to an adult. Next, act with compassion. We are all along a spectrum of sensitivity and emotional preparedness. Be kind to others and to yourself if you're having a difficult time processing. Dig deep into the inner core of strength that I know you possess and come to school. Do your best and seek support if you need support from your friends and your peers. We will have police officers here this week, and Detective Mike Simpson will be in the building intermittently after that. Make the support that you have for your friends visible and audible. Don't just think, wow, I'm really sorry the person next to me is clearly upset. Tell them, show them, offer them your support by saying you understand and verbally asking them if they need help. Take them to the counselor or another adult in the building. Or if they don't want to do that, you go to the counselor and say, I'm worried about. Give that person a hug. We all need hugs sometimes. Compassion kept to yourself is merely pity. Our mission is to act with compassion. Please act. Finally, perform with honor. As we listen to the media reveal more details about the Oxford incident, we may get more and more frustrated and angry. As a mother, I am appalled and furious when I hear details about the parents. As a principal, I'm upset and angry at procedural lapses. But I need to remember a couple of things. The media is often inaccurate in their details, so I don't know for sure. I can't really judge in hindsight either. That doesn't always help me though. Instead, what I need to do with my anger is to transform it into resolve. Resolve is the strengthening of our sense of purpose, to take unproductive anger and direct it in a positive direction to help, rather than to simply dwell in anger. Dwelling in anger either paralyzes us or causes us to lash out. I own being angry, but I don't have a right to hurt others in my anger. Instead, I resolved to work with our administrative team and faculty to tighten security, to advocate for further ALICE training, and soon for both staff and students. My anger diminishes it as I displace it into productive avenues. Do the same with your anger. Simply venting on social media about the student, and by the way, I am angry at him as well, does nothing but incite others to spew venom and hate over social media. Take that anger and resolve to work toward more positive outcomes. Join our student voice group and advocate for student involvement in decisions regarding your safety. Volunteer to help those in need. Make a decision now that you want to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist who will study mental illness in order to one day make a difference in the lives of other adolescents. Go into education, where you can make a difference in the lives of students, where you can be there for them as we are here for you today. Or be an artist, a dancer, a musician, a writer who offers beauty into a world that's often full of pain and grief. We can all do something with our anger besides venting to nameless friends on social media. Stop blaming others and cultivate your own garden by performing with honor right now, right here. You will feel better about yourself and your future if you perform with honor by your resolve to make a difference in the world. It will not be easy in the next few days to reestablish that sense of normalcy we all crave. But by thinking, by acting, and by performing at our best, and mostly by coming together and staying together, we can make Seaholm a welcoming and safe place to grow and learn, both as adults and students. We can do this. I have faith in us. And now your teachers will take over the rest of this session to talk to you about some of your concerns and questions that you might have from this presentation and or other thoughts that you might want to share with us. They will record those thoughts and share them with us at a later date, and we will try to be sure that we address them and offer you places and forums to really talk about your concerns. Just know that as administrators, our team truly cares about you, and we are always here for you. Thanks, everyone.